Gosh, I hate to cut off these conversations. This is what it's all about at EWA. But it's also all about recognizing our really amazing, talented members and the amazing work that they do through the National Awards for Education Reporting. Welcome to our ceremony to award the year's top 2 prizes for education reporting, the best of the best. We are delighted to have so many of our members joining us in person at last. I'm Caroline Hendry, the Executive Director of EWA.
And I'm Steve Drummond, President of the Board of Directors. EWA has been privileged in recent years to award the Ronald Moskowitz Prize for Outstanding Beat Reporting. This prize is chosen from among the winners of the 3 beat reporting awards that we announced the other night. We couldn't meet in person last year or the year before, so we'd like to recognize the 2020 winner, who's sitting right down there, Bianca Vasquez-Tones. A judge wrote of her stories, her winning stories. Bianca's work highlighted systemic failures and abuses during the pandemic and beyond, while telling stories of students and parents most deeply affected by the crisis, something we've all struggled to do. We continue our tradition of having the reigning Moskowitz Prize winner present the award, so please welcome Bianca.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here in person. This special recognition was established in honor of the late Ronald Moskowitz, a distinguished education journalist from San Francisco who was also a member of the EWA Board of Directors. I'm beyond grateful that I was chosen for the EWA Beat Reporting Award last year. To be recognized by my colleagues and peers feels like the most valuable praise I could have received. Today, I'm delighted to recognize my successor. First, let me remind you about the 3 finalists. They were each named the Beat Reporting winner in their respective newsroom size categories at last night's awards banquet. Individually and collectively, the breadth and scope of their work is both remarkable and inspiring. First up, for small newsrooms, the category winner was Linda Jacobson of the 74. For mid-sized newsrooms, the category winner was Mila Kombolova of Chalkbeat. And for large newsrooms, the category winner was Erica Green of the New York Times. Please welcome to the stage this year's winner of the 2021 Ronald Moskowitz Grand Prize for Outstanding Beat Reporting, Erica Green of the New York Times.
Hey again. I'm so tired of Erica Green. First of all, if you know me, you know I kind of low-key hate awards, but I really, really wanted to win this one someday. I didn't prepare anything because I was rooting for Mila. Look, it's a great, great honor. I'm a beat reporter's beat reporter through and through, no matter what newsroom I'm in. It was a hell of a year where I didn't know if I was going to live to fight another day, let alone write another day. And it was with the support of so many incredible friends and reporters in this room who pulled me out of the darkness to do what we do, which is we show up. When the world is falling, we pick up the pieces. We are the voices for children and families who don't have the platforms that we have. And the stories that I told last year were some of the hardest and most impactful of my career. And it was through reading all of you and all of your amazing work on the ground that from my national perch I could prioritize and try to support and elevate our work with the platform that I have. But in the end, I'm just a girl who's only wanted to work at the Baltimore Sun, who lives Bowie, forced on the education beat, and mentored and nurtured. So I dedicate this to all of you. I don't truly believe that I did anything that you all didn't do every single day. So this goes out to the beat reporter who was treated like the stepchild of the newsroom. This goes out to all the beat reporters who were told that this was a stepping stone to something bigger, but knew there was no greater calling than writing the stories that will shape the next generation of citizens in this country. This goes out to the beat reporter who was told that her stories, or their stories, sorry guys, their stories were not as important as the news of the day, and wrote them anyway. This goes out especially to the beat reporters of color who are underrepresented in newsrooms, who sometimes their lived experiences are not as valued as the degrees of their colleagues. This goes out to every beat reporter who knows that we don't just cover a beat, that what we do is a calling. And after 12 years, that call is still just as strong in me as it was on my first day. So thank you all so very much. I should thank my editors, Jonathan Weissman, Abby Goodenough, my bureau chief, Elizabeth B. Miller, who supported me as a human being as much as she did, maybe more than she did as a reporter. I want to thank my husband and my kids, who sometimes took a back burner. Especially my kids, my daughter. I used to get through my work by telling my daughter that, like, it's okay, I'm so sorry. Mommy's working for other kids, and who during the pandemic came to me and said, or I said, Mom, you're sharing Mommy with other kids. And she said, can those kids share you with me now? I want to thank EWA, who has helped me navigate my career in big and small ways. You know who you are, Emily, Caroline. I want to thank my Forever Squad, Liz and Talia, my Forever team. Yeah, that's it, I think, right?
Yeah, good.
It was good, right?
Yeah, really good.
Okay. Thank you all so very much. Thanks for supporting me here, wherever I am, on the Twitters. I get myself into some stuff, and y'all just really ride for me. And thanks for your collegiality and encouragement, and thanks for all that you do every single day. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you as always from speaking from your heart with the passion that you bring to this work. It is just so inspiring, and that is one of the reasons we come together, to be inspired, to be informed, but also to be inspired and to realize that you do the most important work in the country. So my hat's off. Congratulations to Erica. Couldn't go to a more deserving person. And now, the top honor of this year's awards, the Fred M. Hechinger Grand Prize for Distinguished Education Reporting. Winners of all categories except beat reporting were eligible. So it's a prize chosen from among 14 award-winning entries. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Hechinger Prize winners from each of the past 2 years, who we are so lucky to have joining us today. Ian Shapira from the Washington Post won the 2020 Hechinger Prize. His series, Racism at Virginia Military Institute, is a searing look at how racism affected the lives of Black cadets at the public military college. What he won't tell you is how much he went through to tell this story and to continue telling the story, which he continues to do. Jennifer Smith Richards of the Chicago Tribune is here to represent herself, as well as Jody Cohen and Lakedra Chavis of ProPublica Illinois. Together, they made up the winning Hechinger Prize team in 2019. Their entry, The Quiet Rooms, is a painstaking documentation of the troubling practice in Illinois schools of putting young students into seclusion rooms. At this time, I'd like to hand it over to both of you for a few remarks.
Thank you. Reporting on schools and education is critically important. I don't have to tell you that, you know that. And to be recognized for doing this work by an award as prestigious as the Hechinger was an immense honor. To all the reporters documenting the day-to-day experiences that young people are having in schools, your work matters. Your reporting informs policy. It can lead to better conditions for young people, and it can quite literally make the lives of young people better.
Hello, I totally agree. Some of the most important sources at the Virginia Military Institute, the nation's oldest state-supported military college, were cadets and faculty members. In speaking to me, they risked retaliation, mockery, and all sorts of online harassment. So this award sent an important message about the value of journalism and the impact anyone can make simply by speaking up and confronting authority with truth. So now it is my honor to announce this year's winners of the 2021 Fred M. Hechinger Grand Prize for Distinguished Education Journalism. Laura Bauer and Judy Thomas from the Kansas City Star, for unlicensed and under the radar.
Well, lucky you all. You're going to find out why we went into newspapers, because we're not good at this. So we're going to kind of wing it, and we'll see how that goes. First of all, we just want to say what an honor it is. You know, we're investigative reporters. We often cover stories related to children and families, and to give those that don't have a voice. So just being here, you know, we both work at home. We're kind of in our basement in our home office, and we don't really see real people, and we've been really inspired by young reporters and seasoned ones like us, and so it's just been a really wonderful weekend, and we appreciate that so much. This story started with our editor, who I was working on a story about a little boy who was murdered by his father, and Judy was working on one of her amazing stories. And as Chick Howland always does, he was helping us with the reporting, and he was trying to find out something about this little boy and his father, and he started looking at this small county newspaper, just figuring out if he could find out where the boy went to school, his father, or anything. And he came across just a little brief about a boarding school that we didn't even know existed, that had police show up to interview some of the students, and it was a girls' school. So he calls, I'm Laura, Judy and Laura, by the way, and he called us up and says, hey, why don't you look into this? So after we did our stories, we did, and what we found is something that most people in the state of Missouri didn't know, that the state had become a haven for Christian-based reform schools, that many of them associated with the Independent Fundamental Baptist Church had come from other states that had run them out, who had investigated them, who said you must register. Well, they landed up in Missouri because Missouri has no regulations for these schools. So they could treat the students however they wanted in the name of Christianity. That is what they did. And there was abuse for 25 years that was hidden, really in plain sight in our state. So we've been working on it 2 years now, and one of the students that we did speak with, he had started out at Agape boarding school when it was in California. He moved, when they got kicked out there, they went up to Washington. And when they were made to register there, they thought, oh, we gotta find a place where nobody will watch what we're doing, where nobody will regulate us. Well, they found Missouri. And Aaron Rother remembers when they landed in Missouri that the sermons went kind of like this. We found the promised land. This state has God's law. No one will bother us here. And so kids stayed silent for so many years. And Judy, I mean, she has spent so much time, we both did, with so many students who had been at these schools. And she's had many more long nights with former students and survivors than I have. But thank you again. Thank you again.
And real quick, I will just say we couldn't have ever done these stories without all of these former students who were so willing to talk to us. And some of these students had never talked to anyone. They've never told their stories. They were told when they were at the boarding schools that if you tell anyone about this abuse, no one's going to believe you. You're troubled kids, you're troubled students. And so some of the parents didn't even know what had happened. And so when we first started talking to them, they were a little hesitant at first, but then they gained our trust, and then it kind of snowballed, and we ended up talking to, I think we're up to more than 70 students now. And they range from in the 90s all up till current ones. And it was just amazing to hear their stories. And what was really neat is now they've kind of become advocates or activists. And when the legislature, they held hearings after our first stories ran, or called for hearings. And last year they held, the legislative committees had hearings, and these kids came from all over the country to testify. And they had legislators in tears when they were telling their stories about the abuse that they had suffered. And it was just so exciting to see that. The law passed. There's now a law in Missouri. They do have to be, we're so excited about it. They do have to be regulated now, but there's still a ways to go. But they now at least have to register with the state. The state didn't even know that these schools existed. They were using our stories when they were providing information to the legislators as to where the boarding schools were, and we just found out about a new one last week. And so there's a ways to go, but they do now have to register. They're being watched, and these kids are pressing the Attorney General, the Governor. They're all over it. They're on social media now. And the last thing I want to say, in March of last year, the mother of one of these students called us, and she had seen our stories, and her son had just recently told her, had come forward, and he said he was gang raped at this boarding school. And he came forward. He was very credible. He had the courage to talk to us about it. We wrote the story, and there was an investigation by the Highway Patrol after that into sex abuse there as well. And now there's 5 staff members charged with abuse there right now. And then this other boarding school, there's 99 felony charges against the couple that ran it. And so those are all ongoing right now. And the mother, unfortunately, she called us in March and texted us from the hospital. Her son had been waiting for a kidney transplant because he had suffered from high blood pressure and all kinds of problems since being at the boarding school. And he passed away in March. So I think we kind of would like to dedicate this to him. So.
And one thing that Jason said was that he had never spoken about it publicly, but he said he didn't know if he had long to live, but if so, he just wanted to tell his story and have other people hear it. So, and when it ran, he said, that's what I needed. So, I mean, we do dedicate this to Jason, so.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So congratulations to our winners, our finalists, our judges, and everyone who entered the National Awards for Education reporting this year. Enjoy the afternoon, and we hope that we see everyone tonight at our receptions. Thank you so much.